everyone, it's Nat Knowles here. I'm really excited to be here and present our conservation economy report. We've been working on it for the last year or so, and really excited to find ways to bring our conservation work together with building the economy of our communities around here.
And here's my presentation, South Georgian Bay's Conservation Economy Report. It's a vision and a toolkit for building an economy around protecting, conserving, and restoring our local landscapes. So we started this off by doing a survey with businesses across South Georgian Bay to get a sense of, how nature really provides for businesses in the region. And we came across a ton of really interesting results, all ranging from, businesses that are generating their assets directly or generating the revenues directly from Georgian Bay's natural assets to business owners that are choosing to live and operate in South Georgian Bay because of the lifestyle, the landscape, and all the benefits that this area provides, both for their clients as well as for themselves and their employees. And this survey really brought to life some metrics to support what all of us who live and work in this area already know about the region, and that really helped bring this report to life and really bring the voices of the businesses operating in this area into our vision for a conservation economy. So what is a conservation economy? A conservation economy is built, understanding that the economy is built from nature. It's built from fully functioning ecosystems, our natural processes, and our flora and fauna. A conservation economy seeks to find ways so that we can live and work within nature, and encouraging us and our businesses, our culture, and the way that we live and work to connect to the lands and waters. It's prosperous and innovative and entrepreneurial and looks for ways to collaborate and share these resources between visitors, residents, and businesses. And it's particularly important for this region because it's one of our UNESCO biosphere regions. So the environment has been recognized globally as a super unique area and one that's worth preserving. And so finding a way that our economy can suit this rather than our economy take from this landscape. And within a conservation economy, what really comes to life is the incalculable value that nature brings to us. Everything from health and well-being benefits, so our outdoor recreation assets, our ability to spend time in nature, the clean air, to cost-effective natural disaster resilience, climate adaptation. Our trees keep our microclimate cooler, retains our soils, all the ecosystem services from fresh air, clean water, pollinators, so many more, to our local culture and knowledge, our renewable energy, and of course our fresh food and agriculture systems, among many others. And there's many people trying to put that value of nature into an economic dollar, but it's really hard to calculate, and it is intangible, it's incalculable, because we don't know the complex and cascading impacts of having nature support us. There's so many attributes that we don't know about it. And also, when one piece is destroyed, we don't know the cascading impacts of what that will be to us. So nature has this incredible value that's added to our economy that goes pretty underrepresented from an economic standpoint. So a conservation economy looks to both bring value to those attributes of nature, as well as understand that many of these attributes aren't calculable into our, the metrics that we use in our common economy, and how can we bring those still into our policies and practices. So the current challenges that our region is facing, many of us are already super aware of these, is we've got a rapidly growing population. We've seen 13% growth across our 5 municipalities, and can expect another over 20% more in the next 30 years. As a result of that, we're seeing a ton of suburban sprawl, massive proposed growth and increase of housing, 30,000 new homes in the next less than a decade. And with that, a lot of issues with housing affordability and accessibility. We're seeing loss of wilderness and agricultural lands as a result of this as well. And we're having massive amounts of tourism in the region. This is growing as well. Of course, many people want to come visit this region because it's incredible. But a lot of impacts come with over-tourism as well. We see that on our social services, our health services, and our infrastructure. And a lot of these things aren't counted, they aren't counted for when we look at tourism numbers. We look at the growth in tourist visits and economic spending, but we often don't count for the cost that it takes to service growing tourism numbers. We have over 3 million visitors to the region each year, and so that costs a lot to our municipalities and to our environment. And also economic leakage. So the way that we organize our economy, if the businesses are primarily owned and managed outside of the region, a lot of the benefits of the existing industries, whether that's tourism or others, these economic benefits can be extracted out of the region. So high-paying jobs, spending profits might go to Toronto or to other international multinational corporations if we prioritize those versus supporting small businesses that stay where the economic benefits stay in the region. And mining is a good example of that, where it's considered an economic attribute for the region, but it actually only provides a really small amount of jobs, and the majority of the economic benefit, the profits, is being exported out of our region. So how can we prioritize sectors where the economic benefit and the social benefit all stays within the economy here? And so what is our vision for a conservation economy? It's to build an economy centered on protecting, conserving, and restoring our shared natural and cultural assets that the incredible South Georgian Bay region can continue to prosper and provide for a wide community of constituents long into the future. And so within that, we've looked through what our economy is and can be so that we can continue to do that. And so we've got a lot of unique experiences, products, and services that we can continue to prosper off of and support and develop in a way where we're contributing to the ecological health of the region, and that in itself is then supporting the growth of those sectors and industries. So we're seeing a massive integration of adventure tourism and outdoor recreation in the region. This has been a pivotal draw to the area, and generally what brings most people to this area. And the more that we can support trails and outdoor activities, the more those activities can then contribute to conservation of the region as well. Indigenous cultural tourism is a growing one, and one that we can support the cultural heritage of the region, support the land that and the people who originally inhabited here, while bringing economic benefits to the wider community as well. Character accommodation, we're seeing incredible movement to restore a lot of the buildings and the heritage of the region, and so supporting smaller scale accommodations, as well as integrating agriculture and cultural tourism. And agriculture is a key sector within our area, and a lot of ways that we can connect between these sectors, between agriculture and tourism. Moving into products, we've got a lot of products that can really showcase what our region has to offer without extracting, without negatively harming our environment in a way that's non-renewable. So our craft food and beverage sector is massive, and it's incredible, known throughout the province and the country, from apples and cideries to local farm-to-table restaurants, and just wider agriculture in general. And arts and culture is based a lot off of our natural landscape. We've got growing communities of that, and our building and architecture as well. We've got a lot of really great opportunities to reuse and repurpose our buildings, which bring with them a lot of history and connection to this area, and conserve those, both in the sense of conserving the history and the buildings, but also in doing that, we're not promoting the continued extraction and use of other materials. And sustainable services. So again, most people are drawn to this region, whether it's business owners, employees, staff, residents, or visitors, for the attributes like the lifestyle, the nature, and the small town communities. So ways that we can, continue to enhance these through our housing and construction. People aren't looking to be in this region to be in the suburbs. They're looking to get out of the suburbs, out of the urban areas, and into a small town, into nature, into Georgian Bay or onto the escarpment. And so, how can we continue to do that? With our housing and construction, we can support, infill development, so not sprawling further into our agricultural lands, which are providing food and other experiences. We can repurpose industrial land. We can restore old buildings, old barns, and old and bring that character back to life. Bring what people are looking to come here for, and really embolden it. Same with through our arts and culture. There's so much talent and beauty to share with visitors and residents alike. We're seeing a growing knowledge, education, and innovation sector. So that's, sort of the opposite of economic leakage, where we're having these knowledge, education, tech workers come into our region, and they're, bringing money from outside of our economy and then spending it inside our economy. So how can we support that? We can enhance our transportation system within the region. We've got a great example with our Georgian Trail, super successful project, linking municipalities, working across sectors, collaborating, and supporting the outdoor recreation, the connectivity between these communities. So we've got a rural outdoor recreation region that we can connect better, so that people are traveling in more sustainable ways, that they're visiting businesses, off the beaten track, not, sort of back road breweries, back road restaurants, and exploring more of the region, and then our healthcare and well-being. So we've got the growing outdoor recreation and adventure type activities, and a lot of supporting services are growing in the region as a result. And so these healthcare practitioners, our massage therapists, physiotherapists, all of these really are also dependent on nature. And because we've got this constituent of people who are looking to recreate outside, spend time outside doing these activities. So all of these are really dependent on and can help bolster conservation in the region. And so when we look at these, we realize that our stakeholders for a conservation economy are quite broad. They go from everything from construction to healthcare, to outdoor recreation, to tourism, to farmers. So bringing this vision to life really, really involves everybody, all citizens of the South Georgian Bay region. And we have this opportunity to sort of choose our path forward, and we can continue to focus on, growth for growth's sake, and just more is better, whether that's more development or more tourists, or we can think strategically and we can choose, what is our threshold? Who are we looking to bring to the region? Which sectors do we want to support, subsidize, put policies forward surrounding? And if we choose the sectors that, are dependent on nature, then those sectors are going to help support conserving nature. And in a cyclical way, that'll help collaboration and contributing to the conservation of our landscape, rather than extracting from and taking out of it. In looking at sort of what next steps are bringing this to life, we've developed a toolkit, which we've got in a lot more detail, but at 3 levels, looking at our policy plan, what our ground game for what businesses can do, and individual action that, every resident and visitor can do. We really see that everyone can be part of this conservation economy. So in looking at policy, planning, and regulations, we can protect and conserve our natural spaces and agricultural lands. We can think about ways to strategically strengthen tourism. So focusing on that, the demographic of tourists that are going to support our local businesses, support our conservation initiatives, and share our values. We can enhance those outdoor recreation infrastructure to ensure that we're not having ecological damage, that we're able to get to our outdoor recreation sites. We can promote responsible development, so really working to fill in our existing homes, reduce vacancy, develop within our urban areas or community areas, and save our wilderness and agricultural lands. And we can commit to a conservation economy, so thinking beyond just GDP growth and number of jobs, to the quality of these jobs, the contribution to well-being, the contribution to ecological health, and biodiversity, climate, and considering all of these as aspects of our economy when we evaluate the success of industries and of our policy and planning in general. When we talk to local businesses and organizations, how can they actively be part of our conservation economy? A lot of our businesses and organizations have space where they can do on-site conservation and sustainability work, whether that's planting trees on the land outside of out of a business, or changing some supply chain to really shift so that they are having sustainable products within their business. So much that can be done, and we've got a list of sector specific opportunities for that. But then thinking more broadly across our local businesses, there's so much opportunity for cross-sector and cross-business collaboration, whether that's drawing links between our agriculture and our tourism industries. So we've got farm-to-table options. We've seen such success in our farmers markets and bringing stuff directly to the consumers. We can share employment or housing opportunities, especially with our very seasonal economy. So our winter activities versus our summer activities, and how can we do some collaboration across those so that we're having consistent employment, solid housing for the employees that are driving those industries. And then we can engage and educate our employees and staff. So there's lots of opportunities. Georgian College offers a bunch of different sustainability, Indigenous training programs. We can have green committees that work across businesses, and also ensure that all the people working in our sectors are able to talk to clients and share these ideas and what is going on within the businesses and how they're part of the conservation economy with the wider clientele that they face. And then on an individual action, there's so many ways that we can all get involved. So exploring the landscape, joining the communities that are using the landscape, whether that's a hiking or skiing or biking club. We can buy and support our local businesses, specifically choosing those over, like I said, those businesses that are, extracting from our region. We can engage and educate employees and support our staff initiatives. We can plant wildlife in our own backyards, so planting native species, trees, pollinator species, gardens, local foods, and sharing those. Those of us that have access to land, placing it under conservation easement or other protections so that further development can't happen on it is really, really great and can offer tax benefits. So those are available for both wilderness lands as well as agricultural lands. And that can really, really help bolster the conservation and the connectivity of our ecosystems across the region. And then we can promote the South Georgian Bay conservation economy. So speaking to our local politicians, council people, to ensure that policies that are in place or that are getting put in place really promote this idea of an economy that gives back and regenerates to the landscape and the people in a circular motion, and supporting local conservation initiatives, as well as directing neighbors and visitors to our conservation economy as well, so we can all be stewards and ambassadors for this destination, for our community. And that's just a quick overview of our conservation report. There's so many more details. I wish I was there in person to continue the conversation with all of you here. I know everyone will have an amazing time and so much learning and sharing in the next couple hours. But if anyone has any questions, feedback, or wanting support on how they can bring this to life in your daily life for your business, I'm more than happy to talk about it and keep things moving in the right direction. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you, Natalie. Is this on? Yeah. So we issued this paper as a starting point to stimulate discussion and debate, and to help get us thinking in creative and innovative ways, right, about this area we call home by the Niagara Escarpment on the shores of Georgian Bay. Two incredible natural assets that they drew us here in the first place. We have to protect them going forward so that our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, 7 generations can continue to enjoy what we've enjoyed and can benefit and create a healthy, sustainable economy. Hopefully, this paper begins to influence people's thinking. I encourage you all to download the report and the toolkit and share it and read it thoroughly, think about it. And maybe one day this will begin to influence local policy on planning matters and other matters that are important to the economy and protecting these assets. So I guess, do we have some time for questions? Okay, we can. Too bad Natalie's not here with me to answer questions, but I'll do my best. Yeah, I will.
So this was excellent. It's more of a quick comment. I really appreciate it. So extend the gratitude to Natalie for the great presentation. So this is an incredible resource. One thing that Natalie mentioned that I think is critically important, and it relates to corridors and also to tourism, is that what she mentioned about economic leakage. So I've done research in protected areas in South Africa, Italy, and the US, and what she just said about tourism leakage, if it's not handled properly, it exacerbates social and economic divides. Right. And so getting ahead of that and understanding the degree of tourism leakage that's happening, meaning the money is going out of your economy, it gets back to what I said earlier, you can't manage what you can't monitor. So if you have no idea how much money is leaving, you have to get a handle of what that is and then address it in advance, because it'll affect, again, social, economic, and then also conservation efforts too, because that money can be used internally. So I'm glad that she brought that up, and I think this is valuable to know that it's on everyone's radar. So thank you again for the presentation.
Thanks for that, Kelly. The other big issue is the invisible burden of tourism, right? The tourists are coming here, they're paying for an experience, but they're not paying for the services that we as taxpayers pay that they're utilizing, right? And if there's over-tourism and there's, there can be a loss well, there's negative impact on the local situation with...
Mike, I got a question that kind of dovetails with that, and that is it necessary for tourism to be the conservation economy? In that there are other ways to build the economy in the community that don't necessarily involve tourism, and are we kind of deferring to tourism as a de facto, that's the economy we want to build? I'm thinking small business and consulting and all those other things that we could be building as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, tourism obviously is important to this area. That's, what brought a lot of us here in the first place. And as weekenders from the city, we're tourists, right? I live here now, but tourism is one piece of the economy. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of other aspects to the economy that we have to build and foster and support.
Mike, given that both Castle Glen and Talisman's plans, the developer's plans right now, is incompatible with a conservation economy, that's agreed upon, there's an analogy, and that is what Tom Eisenhower has done with regard to purchasing beautiful agricultural land from the hedge fund that saw their return on investment based upon creating the mega quarry. Tom saw an option, and that is to maintain it as profitable agricultural land, and which was once again compatible with the area, with ecology, everything. Has the organization proposed to the developers alternative uses of the land that they own at Castle Glen and Talisman that is more consistent with the conservation economy? Did I ask a kind of a inconvenient question? That wasn't staged, I promise you.
And the quick answer is no, not yet. Right? I mean, no, we haven't had conversations even with the Castle Glen developer. We have, I believe there have been conversations with the Talisman developers and ideas put forward. But, it's part of the process. We're in the middle of a process that's going to take time.
It's right here, right here.
I'm right here.
Sorry.
Catherine Daw. I'm with the Collingwood Climate Action Team, and I'm really fascinated by the conservation economy concept. I would suggest, though, that there's an and to this, and the and is sustainable economy. And that is a green economy that works on helping businesses try to reduce or manage the damage that they do through the use of resources. And that there is an economy where we have to do conservation because we're losing biodiversity. We're infected by climate change, which is part of the outer ring of us just living on the planet Earth. And that the inner ring is the sustainability piece, where we have to have equity and justice for people to get the right kinds of jobs that they deserve and can be paid for, as well as the fact that we have to have businesses that can be more sustainable. And the Collingwood Climate Action Team is actually the lead supporting partner with Green Economy Canada, and we are conducting a regional hub pilot here in South Georgian Bay to have businesses sign up and work with Green Economy Canada and building sustainable businesses where they do their carbon audit on their business on energy, waste, water, and other elements of it. They build a sustainability plan with targets that they set for themselves. They get coaching, one-on-one support, they get training, and they get resources and access to funding that they wouldn't get if they were an individual business. And this is about trying to create another kind of community here in the South Georgian Bay. And I don't think that they're counter to each other. I think they're complementary, but I do think that we need to understand that a conservation economy is not going to solve all of the problems that we have with related to climate change, because we need to reduce carbon, and that's our human activity. Conservation is about trying to help the biosphere and the biodiversity maintain and grow, but we have to do both, and they have to go hand in hand. So I'd like to hear from you what your thoughts are on that. Thank you.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you fully, wholeheartedly. I mean, we have an economy in place now. There is extractive industry along the escarpment, and in this area, there is mass tourism in this area. And we have to ensure that those businesses become more sustainable. I don't really like the term sustainable because it's just so overused and abused and misused. But yes, they have to be, and we're talking about changing our way of thinking going forward and thinking more from a conservation economy mindset. There are great examples of places that have successful conservation economies. I mean, Kelly referenced a couple of countries, Costa Rica, with ecotourism being a huge part of that, their economy, and then Bhutan. And in Canada, the Great Bear Rainforest it's a very successful model with 22 First Nations and mostly remote First Nations, where they've successfully created a conservation plan with permanence and permanent financing, and are developing a very successful conservation economy. So it's trying to change our way of thinking about economic development. And going forward, we have what we have. Let's make it more sustainable. But going forward, let's try and protect what we've got and try and move towards more of a conservation economy, if that makes sense.
Mike, I think we're going to stop there. I know there are... yes.